From the Seattle Kingdome in Seattle, Washington, CBS Sports presents the Los Angeles Rams versus the Seattle Seahawks. Hi, everybody. I'm Vin Scully along with George Allen, and welcome to the great indoors of the Pacific Northwest. George, it might very well be the most emotional game we'll see all year.
That's correct, Vin. I think at this stage, especially for the Rams, it isn't what play you run. Whether you run a fast trap or run off tackle, or whether you dog on defense or what coverage you're in. This game is a test of their character, their pride, their emotion. They have to win. They can't lose 4 straight.
And for the Seattle Seahawks, having won 3 of their last 4 and being on the road, they come home to a highly partisan crowd, and that should be counted into the fact that they're a 3-point favorite.
Well, this is a very difficult place to play for the Rams, but the Rams feel that they have an advantage playing here today.
Right now, let's go down to the floor of the Seattle Kingdome as the Seattle Seahawks and the Los Angeles Rams are ready to go.
Heads he called. Heads it is. You won the toss. You want to receive? Which goal will you defend? Will you turn your backs to the goal, please? Los Angeles wins the toss and will receive. Good luck, gentlemen.
So you heard the voice of Pat Haggerty. The Rams winning the toss, electing to receive. They'll go left to right. Seattle on the right, and in the NFC West, New Orleans at Denver not yet underway, leading the Rams by a game. Atlanta winning a big one today, beating Tampa Bay, and San Francisco picking up the rear at 1-8. The AFC, Denver, and they'll be playing New Orleans. San Diego 6-3, Oakland 5-4, and then you can see Seattle trying to get to the 500 mark as Efren Herrera goes over to get the ball game underway. George, we should have a good one.
Should be an emotional game by both football teams. They both have to win, especially the Rams.
Efren Herrera, who of course made headlines on a 20-yard gain of a pass reception Monday night. That's when Seattle won the hearts of an awful lot of people coast to coast when they gambled 4 times, and 3 of their 4 gambles on 4th and long paid off. So Herrera, who went to school at UCLA, he was raised near Guadalajara until he was 16, and then he went to La Puente High School, and he's quite an athlete. He played football, baseball, wrestling, track, and soccer. So Herrera ready to kick off, and the rabbit, that's Drew Hill, the rookie out of Georgia Tech, standing on the Ram 5-yard line. He's flanked by Eddie Hill and El Pecan. So here we go in the Kingdome. Herrera getting it away, and Drew Hill retreating to his 2-yard line, out to the 10. Upended by Al Hunter on the 15-yard line, and that'll be that. So we take a look now at the Rams with Pat Hayden, Wendell Tyler, and Cullen Bryant, the running backs. The wide receivers, Drew Hill, will start over Ron Smith. Preston Denard and Terry Nelson, the tight end. Up front, Gordon Gravel starts in place of Doug France with Kent Hill, Rich Saul, Dennis Harrah, and Jackie Slater. So the Rams have it, 1st and 10 on their own 16. Drew Hill is on a wing. Tyler is the deep man out of the eye with Hill in motion. Wendell Tyler. And there he goes. Grabbed down by Brown at midfield, and he got to about the Seattle 48-yard line. Had it not been for Dave Brown, he's gone all the way on a 36-yard run.
Well, the Rams used motion and changed the strength. Good blocking at the point of attack by 83, Terry Nelson. You give Wendell open field running, he's going to make people miss. Almost went all the way. Brown brought him down from behind. The Rams look like they're ready to explode.
1st and 10 on the Seattle 48, and you folks who are watching the Pittsburgh-Washington game, welcome to the start of ours. Pittsburgh winning easily. There goes Cullen Bryant, and he's to about the 41-yard line, brought down by Hardy and Simpson, and the Rams appear to be fired up.
Yes, we mentioned that in the warm-up. They look to be more emotional. If they can score this first drive, not just a field goal, but a touchdown, it'll be a big lift for them, put a little pressure on Zorn.
You know, the Seahawks have given up 4.5 yards a carry. Only one team is worse. That's New Orleans. 2nd and 2 from the 40. And it's Wendell Tyler following Cullen Bryant's block, and he would appear to pick up the first down.
Part of the Seahawks defense is Zorn's ability with his offense to stay on the field a long time and keep the ball away from the opponent's offense.
Not only does Seattle have a very tough time stopping the rush, but their opponents have completed, are you ready, 66% of their passes as you look at Jim Zorn, who's waiting to get his hands on the ball.
And that's 28.
First and 10 on the Seattle 37. Pitch back to Cullen Bryant. Brown missed him, but Beeman got him. A few words on the field. Gregory and Gravel are really hot. As you saw Doug France sitting on the bench, there's Gordon Gravel, and he and number 77, Bill Gregory, were really hot. On the play, a sweep left. You might see 73 and 77. There they go.
Gregory made a good play there. He tackled him right by the foot.
Gordon Gravel was guilty 3 times last week of holding.
He got away with that one.
Second and 10 on the 37. The big man offside. Hayden going through with his play, but overshoots the intended receiver, Terry Nelson. The man offside was Manu Tuiasosopo, and there is Doug France. And, of course, France, with a bad arm, sitting this out at least the opening moments with Gordon Gravel. And there you see Tuiasosopo, who went to school at UCLA, making contact with Kent Hill.
There's the rookie being drawn offside by Pat Hayden's cadence. Pat gets 2 big calls every game like that.
We have offside, defense.
Up front is Eller, Hardy, Tuiasosopo, and Gregory, with Green, Beeson, and Butler, the linebackers. Webster, Brown, Simpson, and Beeman in the secondary. So 2nd and 5 for the Rams on the Seattle 32. In motion is Drew Hill. Hayden pitching back to Wendell Tyler. And Tyler is dropped at the 29-yard line. Webster made the initial hit, but there's a flag on the play.
A late flag.
Holding against the Rams. So the Rams started on their own 16-yard line. A big play by Wendell Tyler went for 36 yards to the Seattle 48. And now we'll get the call on the holding.
Holding, number 78.
That would be Jackie Slater on the right side, guilty of the infraction. See if we can pick it up.
There he is.
On the right side, you can see Jackie.
He's got him by the left arm, holding with his left arm.
So the Rams are 1 for 2. They've held twice, but they've been caught once. And it is 2nd and 15 from the 42. A little release to Cullen Bryant. And Hardy chasing him as he is upended at the last minute. Cornell Webster hit him after taking the little block from Drew Hill.
That was a good call by Pat. He had pretty good protection on the screen. They let it form. The Saints didn't contain Bryant properly, and he almost broke it.
So from 2nd and 15, it is now 3rd and 10 back to the 37. Frank Corral is testing that right leg. He's had some trouble lately. He's missed 6 of his last 8 field goal attempts, and he wants to be ready if called upon. 3rd and 10 from the 37. Hayden setting up to go deep, and way down is Drew Hill. No good. Double teamed him.
Had him open.
Brown and Cornell Webster right down there with him.
He was open. The ball was a little long, and Pat had good protection. Seattle ran a stunt, and they picked it up. Good protection, pretty good execution. Just a little bit long.
So Ken Clark will have to come in and punt. Clark has been punting effectively for the Rams. In his last 3 games, he's averaged 38 yards per punt. That's after deducting the yardage of the punt returns.
Let's get the snap on this now.
The snapper is Danny Rysick, and of course he was banged up last week against the Giants. Good snap. And a low line drive hits on the 6 and goes out of bounds inside the 5.
Beautiful
at
kick.
About the 3.5-yard line. Great kick for Ken Clark. He has kicked 13 of them now. OB inside the 20. Good news for Malavasi. Seattle trying to move the ball from just about its own 4-yard line. Jim Zorn at the wheel. Smith and Durning the running backs. Largent, McCullum, and Peets the tight end. And up front would be Beebout, Lynch, Yarno, Newton, and August. So let's see what the Seattle Ball Club can do. As you see Fred Dreyer along with Youngblood, and again Reggie Doss sitting on the sidelines. He replaced Dreyer a couple of times last week, and Freddie was hot about it. Largent in motion to the right now. Going to the second man, Smith, and he runs into Elmendorf as he crosses the 5 and gets to about the 6, and he's a study, Sherman Smith. You know, he has averaged 4.7 yards a carry in his career, and that's 4 years with the Seahawks.
He's a big back. He was a quarterback in college. The man giving the defensive signals has a red jersey on, red jacket. That's Laverne Torgerson, and he relays the signals to Jack Reynolds, 64.
2nd and 7 from the Seattle 7. Busted up just about at the 10-yard line, and that time Al Hunter, who was wearing high-top shoes. So once you see Al down there, you'll remember him beside his number. Meanwhile, Herman Weaver, known as Thunderfoot, 10 years out of Tennessee, tying the laces on that valuable left foot. Weaver, of course, has had a couple blocked, I think 3 this year.
3, which is more than you should have in 10 years.
3rd and 4 from the Seattle 10. Hunter is still in there with Sherman Smith, the deep man in the eye. A good block by Sherman White, and the pass is caught by Largent on a bounce. No good. Sherman Smith made a great block on Jack Youngblood.
You know, the difference there is that Zorn is running to his right, and he underthrew the ball. Youngblood was right in his face. He's throwing to his left, where he has the full view of the receiver and the defense. I think he did complete that pass.
The way Al Hunter leaped in the air, it almost looked as if he wanted to catch it.
The Rams might be going for this because of Seattle's inability to pick up the rush.
His longest this year for Herman Weaver, 60 yards, and he'd be kicking out of the end zone. The Rams trying to come, and Herman roots it out of there. Eddie Brown, a fair catch, lets the ball hit at the 45 and go out of bounds, where the Rams will put it in play. 1st and 10 on about the Seahawks 45-yard line. There is Sherman Smith, 4 years out of Miami of Ohio. He was a quarterback in college, and he has caught at least 1 pass in every pro game in 4 years except 1 against the Rams. On an exchange of punts, the Rams have the ball back. 1st and 10 on the Seattle 45. So Jim Zorn goes and sits down. He didn't really have much possession. He had a 1st and 10 on his own 4, and after a couple of plays had to kick it out of there. So here comes Hayden and company now, with Drew Hill wide right and Preston Denard left. Bryant and Tyler the running back. And Hayden down the right side, intended for Drew Hill, broken up by Cornell Webster, and the pass overthrown to make sure it wasn't intercepted.
Right. That's exactly right. People might think that Pat threw that ball high, but Cornell Webster had him covered like a blanket. No chance to get that in.
Jack Patera, the head coach of the Seattle Seahawks, coming home having won 3 out of 4. Patera starting to see a little light at the end of the tunnel now. Some of his kids are really starting to play. 2nd and 10 from the 45 of Seattle. No score. 10-12 left in the 1st quarter. It's still Tyler and Bryant. 2nd man Tyler. And he got around Butler and goes inside the 30-yard line. At the last minute, dragged down by Simpson. Once he got by linebacker Keith Butler out on that left side, number 53, he was off to the races.
A good 2nd down call. It's what we call a lead draw. And Tyler runs very well. Again, once he gets in the open field, he has the ability to break it.
Danny Rysick, who is so important, especially on snapping the football, taking a breather on the sideline. 1st and 10 on the 30 of Seattle. It'll be Cullen Bryant with Tyler blocking on Webster, and Brown upends him inside the 25-yard line. By the way, Dave Brown, number 22, who is just getting up off the ground along with Autry Beeman. Dave Brown is the only member of the Seattle Seahawks to have started in every game since the Seattle franchise came into being. He was originally a first-round draft choice with Pittsburgh, played in the '75 Super Bowl, and there's Jack Youngblood dreaming of this '80 Super Bowl.
And McCutcheon just came in.
2nd and 4 on the 24 of Seattle. McCutcheon following Bryant.
Seattle likes their two rookie defensive tackles, 74 and 75.
Never mind the numbers. Who's 74?
Tui Asiopo.
Well, close. It won't make it, but it's close. All right, it's 3rd and 4.
They're giving him a good pass rush.
3rd and 4 on the 24. Hayden, plenty of time. Over to the right side to Denard. He beat Brown at the 12-yard line.
Pat has had plenty of time to throw every time. Now they're dogging, and he still has time to throw. He looked over the entire field. Look how they're picking up the dog. Now he went to his 3rd receiver, threw a perfect pass, big first down.
It'll be 1st and 10. The ball on the 11-yard line of Seattle. No score, but the Rams awful close with 8:14 left in the first quarter. It'll be Lawrence McCutcheon, and he is hit head-on at the 10-yard line and stacked up there.
Well, I'll tell you already, there's Rabel, 83. If Largent can't play too much today because of that pulled groin, they've got a capable replacement in Rabel. But right now, at this stage of the game, the Seahawks have not been able to rush Hayden. No pressure on him whether they dogged or didn't dog.
2nd and 9. The ball on the 10-yard line of Seattle. Denard is left. Nelson, the tight end, on the right side, along with the wide receiver Drew Hill. And it's Tyler and Bryant. A roll by Hayden, and he throws over to Cullen Bryant. And he is knocked out of bounds at the 3-yard line by Green. So Cullen Bryant handles the pass. It'll be 1st and... Meanwhile, Jeff Rutledge, the young rookie backup quarterback out of Alabama, making notes along with Vince Ferragamo, who was in the sports shirt.
What Rutledge does there, Vin, is puts down the formation, the down and distance, 1st and 10, 2nd and 7, and the play, and the defense.
And Jack Patera seeing his young Seahawks push back to their own 3-yard line, and it's 3rd and 2 for the Rams. And Hayden calling time. So Hayden asking for time, and he'll come over to the bench, which gives us a chance to remind you this telecast presented by authority of the National Football League, intended for the private use of our audience. Any rebroadcast of this telecast without the express written consent of the Seattle Seahawks and the league is prohibited. At the Kingdome, 7:31 left in the first quarter, no score. But the Rams are driving. They have it 3rd and 2 on the Seattle 3-yard line. After an exchange of punts, the Rams started on the Seattle 45. And there's a final. Cleveland defeating Philadelphia. 3rd and 2. The running backs are Tyler and Bryant. Wendell Tyler with the block on Cornell Webster. A key block by Cullen Bryant on Cornell Webster, as Lawrence McCutcheon, who used to do those things, now only stands and waits.
They used Wendell's speed to go outside. Down in there, the defense is constricted. They're charging inside. Wendell just made a little move inside, then circled the contained man.
Watch again, and you'll see Cullen Bryant there, 32 leading. And look at the block on Webster, and once he got Webster down, that made the play go.
Tied him up enough so that he couldn't make the play.
Now it'll be up to Frank Corral. He's 18 out of 19 in points, and he makes it 19 out of 20 as he splits the uprights. So with 7:27 to go in the first quarter, the Rams are on the scoreboard leading the Seattle Seahawks 7-0. A reminder, tonight on CBS, what a great lineup. 60 Minutes, Archie Bunker's plays One Day at a Time, Alice and the Jefferson, and CBS reports Teddy. So that's quite a lineup tonight right here on CBS. Wendell Tyler, having just gone in for the touchdown, takes a breather.
I think, Ben, the big thing here is that the Rams have taken advantage of the good field position they've had, and also Seattle has not been able to rush Pat Hayden. He's had all day to throw the ball.
On the other side of the coin, there is our man Tuiasosopo, who is breathing, one of the two young rookies who have lost a little breath on that 55-yard drive, as both tackles, Hardy and Tuiasosopo, unable to get anywhere close to Hayden. So the Rams' Frank Corral will be kicking off to Seattle, and deep for the Hawks will be number 32 Jeff Moore, 34 Tony Green, and it'll be deep to Tony Green, 1 yard in the end zone. To the 20, to the 25, down at the 26. He bumped into Butler. He might have gone another few yards, but bumping into his own man, that slowed him down. On the other side, Carl Eller, 16 years out of Minnesota, trying to teach the rookies in that front four, and he takes a respite.
And he gives them some leadership. That's Reggie Dawes down on the field for the Rams.
And there's also a Hawk down with him. To see if it was Butler. He was trying to block for Tony Green and then disappeared in the pile. So timeout for the moment. So the Rams win 45 yards in 8 plays. Tyler scoring his 6th touchdown of the year rushing. And they are leading the Seattle Seahawks 7-0. The Hawks have never beaten the Rams. They've only played once regularly. As you see, New England beat Buffalo 26-6. And it is Jackson, Michael Jackson, a rookie out of Washington, who was banged up on that kickoff return. And Reggie Dawes on his feet. And of course, he's the man who spells Fred Dreyer. In fact, any one of the front four defensively for the Rams. Dawes out of Hampton Institute. There is Robert Hardy, the rookie out of Jackson State. He was a 10th round draft choice, and he is really surprised he's done so well.
Both of these players are undersized. They've been doing a great job. Patera is very high on them.
1st and 10 on the Hawks 27. In motion is Largent. Dorning and Smith running behind Zorn. Play action fake. Being chased by Reynolds, and Jack Reynolds brings him down. And for Zorn to be sacked is news. He had been sacked only 12 times all year. Toby Friedman, Dr. Toby Friedman, talking to Reggie Dawes, who had been shaken up.
Now the Rams are going into their nickel defense on 2nd down.
So on the Reynolds sack, you make it 2nd and 20 on the Hawks 17. Largent wide left, and McCullum is in a slot left. Dreyer was moving on the play, so we'll see now whether Freddie Dreyer was offside or whether he was pulled offside.
That's the same thing going on the quarterback's cadence, his voice, his inflection, pulled the defense offside. They're even. They both have one apiece. You know, one thing that Seattle's improved on is their special teams. They have a special team coach this year named Rusty Tillman, and Tony Green is going to give them a pretty good kick returner.
Tannehill apparently hurting his right arm, and Dr. Robert Curlin checking him out.
Offside, number 89, defense.
So Dreyer offside. That makes it 2nd and 15, and it moves the ball out to the Seattle 22. Zorn has Dorning and Moore back of him. McCullum in a slot left inside Largent. Grable wide right. Zorn rolling, chased by Grudzinski, throwing no good. Largent covered by Justin and Elmendorf.
Well, Zorn's favorite receiver is number 80, Largent. This is who he's trying to go to. He's looking at him all the way. Now he rolls out to get away from the rush. Largent cannot get open. He's covered. And Zorn is rushed and throws it away. Largent did not practice all week with a groin pull. It'll be interesting to see if that groin pull is going to make him ineffective.
On the telephone, Charlie Young getting some messages from the Ram scouts high atop the Kingdom. 3rd and 15 from the 22. Smith and Dorning behind Zorn. And it's a quick out, and he throws it behind Rabel, who is guarded by Osteen.
Well, what happened there? The Rams faked the dog. Zorn called an audible, and the wide receiver did not hear it. They are dictating to Zorn to date. The Rams defense is dictating to Zorn.
And the key, of course, on that was the sack by Jack Reynolds that lost them 10 quick yards. Coming out and getting a breather is Tom Lynch, 3-year man out of Boston College for Seattle. And now here's Herman Weaver kicking from his own 12. Got it away. Eddie Brown calling for a fair catch on his own 41-yard line. And that's where the Rams will put it in play. 1st and 10 on their own 41. Los Angeles leading 7-0 with 6:27 left in the first quarter at the Kingdome in Seattle. This pretty young lady is Carrie Truskin. She represented the Seattle Seagals in the Battle of the NFL Cheerleaders. 1st and 10 on the Ram 41-yard line with the Rams leading 7-0. Wendell Tyler and Cullen Bryant behind Hayden. Denard left and Drew Hill right. Terry Nelson, the tight end, on the right side. Wendell Tyler hit from the left side by Butler, and down he goes.
Well, you know what's taking place so far. The Rams have their running game. They've established a running game, and they've established a passing game. So Seattle is really on defense. Sadly, offense hasn't done anything. The Seattle defense cannot be on the field this long. They're not that strong to hold up and play this much.
Meanwhile, Jim Zorn and Steve Rabel trying to get their signal squared away for when next they get the ball. 2nd and 7 on the 44. Hayden looking to the right side, going to Drew Hill, and he's buried by Webster at the Seattle 49-yard line. As we mentioned earlier, remember, Seattle opponents have completed 66% of their passes. Nolan Cromwell visiting with Sid Justin on the sidelines.
And we mentioned that was 28th in the league.
And they've given up 4.5 yards on the rush, only New Orleans. So it's a very shaky defensive team they have in Seattle, as you see Art Kuhn, who went to school at UCLA.
One of the best snappers in the NFL.
3rd and 1 at midfield for the Rams, leading 7-0. Wendell Tyler. He ran right up the back of Sammy Green, the linebacker on the left side, number 56. Watch this.
Well, the Rams are coming off of the ball real good. Good blocking at the point of attack by 78 Jackie Slater and 83 Terry Nelson. Wendell just used their blocks and found the opening.
Steve Reibel still trying to figure out that last play. Remember when the pass was thrown behind him. 1st and 10 on the Seahawks 40. Denard is in motion to the left. Play action fake by Hayden. Down the middle. Off the hand of Drew Hill.
Was he open? Wide open. Look how open he is. He might have scored on that. All he had to do was turn it upfield. He was wide open. Seattle is not rushing the passer. They're not stopping the run. Largent, the reason Largent is talking so much is that he knows that he may have to play more today. And he's talking to Rubel because the two of them play the same position.
2nd and 10 on the Seattle 40-yard line. 5:06 left in the first quarter. 7-0 Rams. Hayden with the backs flaring goes to Cullen Bryant, and he's grabbed by Eller. He got away from Eller, but that slowed it up for everybody else to get him.
Well, what they did that time is they double covered both wide receivers, and that allowed them to cover the front zone as well as the deep zone.
That's Tony Benjamin you're looking at, 3-year man out of Duke. He played the organ for the Duke Choir. There's Elvis Peacock, the pride and joy of Oklahoma, waiting for a chance to get his hands on the football. It's 3rd and 10 from the 40. Slot right. Ron Smith wide left now, making his first appearance. Under a rush, and Tuiasosopo makes the sack along with Gregory, but it is Tuiasosopo out of UCLA who made the play.
And you know what he did? He got off on the ball. He timed his charge, beat his man to the outside. He's got quickness. Made a big play. Now that's what they need to get back in this ball game. Those two inside men.
Tuiasosopo with illustrious cousins Terry Totolo of the Eagles, a linebacker, Jack Thompson, the Cincinnati quarterback, and Frank Manomaluega of Kansas City, a linebacker. They're all cousins of Tuiasosopo. On a bad snap, Clark gets it away. Fumble by Tony Green, loose ball, and I think the Rams have it. They did. Tony Green fumbling the punt, and the Rams recover it.
The nose of the ball was down. When the nose of the ball is down, it falls short. He never had possession. Fall on the ball.
Eddie Brown recovers.
Don't try to pick it up. Fall on the football. What a big break for the Rams. You can't make mistakes like that.
There's Eddie Brown, quick under that high punt, and he made the great save. So the Rams, leading 7-0, have it first down and goal on the 5. And look at that look from Jack Patera. That tells an awful lot.
Eddie Brown is always in the right spot at the right time.
The first and goal on the Seattle 6-yard line. Tyler and Bryant, and it's Wendell Tyler with a good block by Bryant, and he gets inside the 5. Bryant crushing Simpson, who came up, and on the sidelines, very happy with the turn of events. Jack Youngblood getting a chance to rest some more. Get somebody in there for Wendell. Youngblood is hollering. Meanwhile, Tuiasosopo is down, so Manu Tuiasosopo shaken up on the play. Even though Youngblood originally thought it was Tyler, he was hollering, get somebody in there for Wendell. You can take a look. Watch Hayden now. Bryant will put a big block on Simpson. Here comes Simpson, and there's Bryant's block. And in a moment, you might see 74 just to the right. See him down in the corner?
Over in the corner of the screen.
And he took a hard lick. So Tuiasosopo is still down.
That's a form of a clip. It's a seal block where the guard pulls and the tackle blocks down, and you can clip. It's legal within that zone from tackle to tackle. But if he hits the defensive tackle just right, he usually hit him on the knee, or you hit him from behind. And that's what happened.
The crowd hushed right now. Not only are they losing 7-0, but they are really upset over the thought of a serious injury to their brightest rookie. And you can see they want to get a close-up look of the first-round draft choice. 6'3", 252, a rookie out of UCLA, but he's down with a bad right leg. CBS Sports Spectacular. What a lineup. The World Powerlifting Championship. Powerlifters from around the world will be competing, along with the Battle of the NFL Cheerleaders and the World Series of Poker. And the applause is for Manu Tuiasosopo, who is okay.
That's great. He's running off the field under his own power.
And they love it. Listen to him.
Well, one of the reasons he was available that late in the draft, he's a little bit undersized for a defensive tackle, but he can do the job. Sometimes size isn't everything. You need quickness and heart, and that's what he has. 2nd and 1, actually 2nd and goal from the 1. Full house backfield for the moment. McCutcheon on a wing, and McCutcheon in motion. Play action fake to Cullen Bryant, and a pass to Charlie Young. Touchdown. So there's Jack Youngblood, who said the Rams are going to win all the remaining games, and he sees them leading 13-0 with 3:14 in the first quarter. Well, this is a fine call. You fake the run and throw the pass. Hayden again had all day to throw. The defense is playing. Everybody is playing run. And the Seattle Seahawks are strictly on defense. This is almost like Monday Night Football where they got behind 14-0.
And again, they're checking Manu Tuiasosopo's right leg to make sure it's okay. The big play was the fumble by Tony Green. That just about gave the Rams the touchdown because they recovered it 1st and goal on the 6. So Corral now trying to make it 14-0. The hold by Cromwell, a low kick, but it got over anyway. And so the Rams, with 3:14 in the first quarter left, leading a somewhat shocked Seattle Seahawks 14-0. Here's another look. There's the fake to Cullen Bryant, and Charlie Young is going to be all alone.
The reason that fake to Bryant is so effective is that he's the guy you got to stop. He's the only back in the backfield, so you fake a 36 to him. Charlie Young delays like he's blocking. Nobody covers him.
Charlie Young, who has not had that many chances to play this year, he has caught 9 passes now, and that's his 2nd touchdown.
And he's a good football player. He's an all-pro in my opinion.
He's an all-pro, doesn't play that much. Terry Nelson plays.
And not allow this defense to stay on the field this much. It has not panned out this way.
Monday night on CBS, the White Shadow, MASH, WKRP in Cincinnati, and Lou Grant. It's something right here on CBS Monday night. 1st and 10 Rams on their own 47. Cullen Bryant, but they sandwich him. Wendell Tyler tried to block on Butler, but it was a mismatch. Butler is 225 and bounced off him to stack it up. There is Rick Saul, the center, doing the dirty work, as you always do in the middle of the line, working against Bill Cook. Tell us about Rick Saul.
When we drafted him in the 5th round, Ben, he was a linebacker or a defensive end. He came in with a bad knee. I said, Saul, you play center. You're too small. You're not mobile enough. That's your best position.
And he's been 10 years out of college now and still playing. Hayden is going to scramble to the Hawk 45, and Webster drills him. Drew Hill, I believe, number 87, clipped Cornell Webster, and Webster still made the tackle. If we can interpret that play, let's wait and see. It looked like Hill tried to come back. So that Webster knocks him at the 45-yard line. And Jim Zorn has been thoroughly frustrated, spending too much time sitting down.
Well, they're dictating to Zorn. They're faking the dog. Then they dog. They're mixing their coverages. They got him in a nickel situation. They haven't made a first down yet.
So Seattle offside.
Offside. Defense. 2nd down.
So it is 2nd and 5. The ball is now on the Seattle 48-yard line. Another man waiting to get his hands on the ball, Mark Bell, a rookie out of Colorado State for Seattle. But the Seahawks have not been able to get off the ground. Wendell Tyler going outside, grabbed by Webster and thrown out of bounds, but he picked up his 1st down.
And then how many times have we said that Wendell's at his best when the hole is closed? When he has to make something out of a... See that hole being closed? If he stays in there, he only picks up a yard or 2. He uses his speed and his quickness and his vision.
Had that been a tearaway jersey, he'd added a few more, but Webster had a handful to bring him down, and Tyler has carried for 80 yards in the first quarter. And it's 1st and 10 on the Hawk 42-yard line. Over to the left side to Preston Denard, who goes out of bounds.
Well, what Pat's doing is he's using the short outs to his wide receivers as part of his running game. Their corners are playing off, and he can pick up 5-6 yards, which is as good as running the ball.
Freddie Dreyer using a chance to catch his breath. And Jack Patera wondering when his Seattle Seahawks will generate an offense. It's been all Los Angeles in this first quarter. 14-0 Rams, 42 seconds left of the quarter. 2nd and 5 from the Seattle 37. Second man, Tyler. And Tyler has the 1st down. Wendell's 9th carry, and what a first quarter he's had.
Well, he's protecting that ball. He's carrying the ball a little bit better than he has in other games that we did.
St. Louis ripping Minnesota 30-7 in the fourth quarter. Baltimore, even though Bert Jones was shaken up, he came back and he has them leading Cincinnati 31-21. San Diego, and that's a big one for them, leading Kansas City 20-14. Chicago leading Detroit 7-0 in the second quarter. Denver on the scoreboard leading New Orleans 3-0. We'll be watching that game very closely. And Oakland leading San Francisco 9-3 in the second quarter. Time has run out here in the Kingdome in Seattle. The Los Angeles Rams 14 and Seattle nothing at the end of the first quarter. First and 10 for the Rams on the Seattle 31. Rams leading 14-0. Start of the second quarter. I don't know what's in a name, but I do know what's in a number. The offense in the first quarter, the Rams 138 yards. Seattle a half a dozen. Cullen Bryant got around Green, but he's hit by Butler, and down he came. A good play by the linebacker Keith Butler, number 53, 2 years out of Memphis State.
Nobody got across. Butler recovered. That could have been a long gainer.
The second-round draft choice last year.
By the way, San Diego defeated Kansas City 20-14. That's the final score.
And as that final comes in, you're looking at a big man up front, Bob Newton, 9 years out of Nebraska, originally a third-round choice of the Chicago Bears. Second and 10 from the 31. Hayden setting up to go deep. As time has his man McCutcheon coming out of the backfield, and he's down at the 15-yard line with a flag on the play.
Flag down early. Early flag.
You remember when we told you that Jack Reynolds was hollering, get somebody in for Wendell? That was a few moments ago, and you can see Wendell Tyler being ministered to by Doctors Toby Friedman and Bob Curlin. Evidently, left shoulder or forearm. Tyler scored a touchdown and has carried the ball for 86 yards in the first quarter.
He's looked great today.
We have holding, number 78.
Holding against Jackie Slater.
Hayden had all day to throw, no pass rush.
Another man rarely seen, Nick Bebout, 7 years out of Wyoming. You had a quick glimpse of him. 3 years with Atlanta. Second and 20 on the Seattle 41. That's McCutcheon following Bryant. McCutcheon inside the 30 to the 28-yard line. Autry Beeman got him at the ankles and brought him down.
Well, the Rams ran the ball in the passing situation. Seattle has no containment, no penetration, big hole. The Rams are dictating all the way. Offense, they're really on offense.
The offense, Dorning and Smith, the backfield men behind Zorn, trying to get their signs squared away. 3rd and 8 on the Seattle 29. Hayden over the middle. He's got Ron Smith, and Beeman brings him down inside the 25-yard line.
And Pat did a good job. Seattle, enough to get some pass rush, dogged him on that play. Hayden read the dog and got it off to prevent the sack.
So Pat Hayden not able to get his touchdown, and he will give it over to Frank Corral. And of course Patera is down 14-0. One of those 2 touchdowns, remember, was the fumble punt by Tony Green, recovered by Eddie Brown. That was a gift. So instead of 7-0, it's 14-0. And now Corral trying to make it 17. The spot is at the 30, so it's a 40-yard field goal attempt. And it's blocked.
Boy,
So the Seahawks blocked it, and it was Dennis Boyd.
what a big play that was.
Boyd is 6'6", 255, and he was able to get in here, number 68.
The ball didn't get up too high either. The ball was kicked almost a line drive.
Recovery by Sam McCullum.
Now watch it. Here it is again. Boyd gets his both hands up. Big play.
After the blocked field goal attempt, the Seahawks put it in play. 1st and 10 from their own 26-yard line. Zorn the quarterback, Smith and Dorning. Zorn going down the left side to Largent, and it's no good. Almost caught by Dwayne Osteen.
Well, here's his favorite receiver. Zorn's favorite receiver is number 80, Largent, who didn't practice all week because he has a pulled groin. Looks like he's healthy here. He's got his man beaten, and he throws before the break and throws the ball behind him. However, Zorn had a little pressure on him. Didn't have all day to throw.
Largent has gained 100 yards on passes in 4 games this year. He leads the NFL in that category. There's Pat Hayden taking a breather. It is 2nd and 10 on the Seattle 26. And it'll be Smith, and he's out to the 30-yard line.
Well, the Rams went into their nickel defense, and what Zorn's trying to do is break a fast trap. There's no middle linebacker in there, and see if he can't get a long gainer. Running against the nickel defense, which is good football.
3rd and 6 on the Seattle 30. The report on Wendell Tyler, bruised ribs, and he should return.
Seattle has yet to make a first down.
Tyler has carried 9 times for 86 yards and 1 touchdown. 3rd and 6 for Zorn on the Seattle 30. McCullum in a slot right inside Largent. Zorn looking at Rabel. Now throwing high, no good. Broken up, intended for Dan Dorning, and it was Jim Youngblood who broke it up. Dorning has been the favorite receiver, and Zorn is pitching a no-hitter. He's 0 for 6.
10 yards passing. You got to give the Rams defense credit. They're putting the pressure on him, keeping him on defense. When he does have time to throw, he doesn't expect it, and he hurries himself.
The man who put the pressure on him on that last pass was Mike Fanning. So with his 4th and 6 from the 30-yard line, Eddie Brown is deep on his own 30. Weaver has time, gets it away, and Brown is going to go after this one. Takes it, running laterally at the 40, and goes out of bounds as a flag on the play.
Not a very good kick. 3.4 hang time, an end-over-end kick.
So Weaver punting the ball to the Rams, and of course for Seattle a bitter disappointment, unable to generate a first down thus far, and again they have to give up the ball. Let's wait and see now.
Illegal formation on the offense. Clip on the return on the defense. On the return, play it over.
Well, you know, that's pretty good field position there, Ben. You know.
They had the ball. Had they put it in play, it would have been at the 42. Jack Youngblood and Reggie Doss having a little conversation on the sideline. It has been all Los Angeles thus far. 11:42 to go to the half. 14-0 in favor of the Rams. And Herman Weaver has to kick it out of there again. He once kicked the ball 72 yards in college at Tennessee. In fact, one game at Tennessee, he had 14 punts. 4th and 6 from the 30. Eddie Brown going back to his own 30-yard line and retreating. Grabbed and pulled down. Pulowski, number 50, hit him first, and Green, number 86, hit him twice, much to the delight of the sellout crowd at the Kingdome. But it's still Rams 14 and Seattle nothing. Weaver had to kick the ball twice. Seattle winds up saving 20 yards. The Rams had it 1st and 10 on the 42, but now after the kick they have it 1st and 10 on their own 22. Hayden on first down is going to go high and deep for Denard, and Denard beating Brown, making a great reception inside the 30 at the 28-yard line. Preston Denard.
Great throw by Pat and a greater catch by Denard. The same type of ball he caught last week. Diving for the ball. Watch him extend himself. Right here. Right on the fingertips. Pretty good coverage by Brown.
Denard had caught 22 passes this year for 2 touchdowns, and he makes a magnificent reception on a bomb from the 22 of the Rams to the 28 of Seattle. So it's a 50-yard pass play. 1st and 10 from the 28. Here comes Cullen Bryant. Good block by Tyler. And he's able to pick up a couple. Wendell Tyler with bruised ribs, nevertheless, put a pretty good block on Terry Beeson. And for Jack Patera, it must be very difficult for him just to chew his gum.
Jack has done a fine job here building this expansion team, and they're not out of this ball game yet.
We have 10:29 to the half, so you can't even consider that thought.
Denard, every week Denard looks a little better.
2nd and 8 on the Seattle 26. Drew Hill is wide right, Denard left. And Hayden looking over towards Denard. He's got him. Brown also has him and brings him down. Dave Brown holding on for dear life.
Again, the corners are laying off and giving Pat that short out, that 5-yard out. And again, no pass rush. And when they have dogged, see how far Brown is off. Now he comes up, makes the play. Denard almost wiggled away there.
And it was just enough for the first down. So it's 1st and 10 on the Seattle 18. 9:44 to the half. 14-0 Rams over the Seahawks. Denard left and Hill right. Charlie Young is the tight end on the right side. And McCutcheon and Bryant behind Hayden. And it's Bryant, and Gregory has him in the backfield. That looked like a busted play.
Yeah, it did.
And look at Malavasi. He is furious for the moment.
Yeah, you don't want to get hit for any loss in this area of the field. It can take you out of running situations, force you to throw. By the way, it's good to see McCutcheon back in there. He's been a great football player for the Rams. It's nice to see him back in the lineup.
Well, they lost 4 on the play. The ball spotted on the Seattle 22. That makes it 2nd and 14. Jeff Rutledge keeping notes along with Vince Ferragamo. Ferragamo in street clothing will still be out for a couple of more weeks. Hayden to McCutcheon with Bryant blocking on Simpson. And he's to the 16-yard line.
Well, the Rams used motion on this, pulled Slater the tackle. Looks like there's a little holding right in there going on, but nobody saw it.
Charlie Young is dancing with Dennis Boyd.
As long as you can get away with it.
There's Ferragamo in the sports shirt. He hurt his right hand. It hit a helmet while he was passing. His right hand is bandaged, and he'll be sidelined a couple of more weeks. 3rd and 9 from the 17. Hayden going deep for Drew Hill. Touchdown.
Well, again, Pat Hayden had all day to throw the ball, if we can see that again. No pressure on him. He laid the ball in the corner of the end zone, up and over. It's either incomplete or a touchdown. Right over the defender.
There's no room down there in that corner either. That's a dangerous spot.
Here it is. See that? The crowd blocks the shot, but you can see it right in the corner.
And then he disappeared from view. It is 20-0 in favor of the Rams, and the reaction here is open up the windows. The kick is up. The kick is good, and the Rams thoroughly dominating the first half of play. Los Angeles 21, and the Seattle Seahawks hearing the boos. Nada. Drew Hill has a lot of reasons to be happy. He had not caught a pass this year. He has now caught 2 today for 23 yards and 1 touchdown. Meanwhile, on the other side of the field, Robert Hardy, the big tackle, has a sore foot, and they're working on him. So the Rams, Frank Corral, ready to kick off. 8 minutes to the half, 21-0 Los Angeles. Here's Tony Green, who fumbled earlier, and from the goal line to the 15. Busted at the 20, and down he goes in a head-on collision. And the man he hit was Eddie Hill. So there are just too many hills out there for the Seahawks to climb.
Seattle has yet to make a first down, and when they make that first down, this crowd is going to break loose.
Well, there you can see it. It is overwhelming. First downs, the Rams, the so-called dirty dozen, 12 of them, and Seattle nothing. And it's 21-0 Rams. 1st and 10 for Seattle on their own 22. Durning and Smith. And it'll be Smith. And at the bottom is Mike Fanning. He had him at the ankles as he fell forward to the 24-yard line.
I made a note in my book that when Zorn, there's Charlie Young getting some information from up above. When Zorn is hot, he's great. When Zorn is bad, he's sometimes a very, very poor quarterback. However, at this stage of the game, you can't blame Zorn for this. He hasn't had the protection. They haven't been able to run the football.
2nd and 9 from the Seattle 23-yard line. And it's Sherman Smith, and he gets out across the 25 to about the 28-yard line, the big man out of Miami of Ohio. Jack Patera knows that the worst defeat suffered by the Seattle franchise was administered by the Rams. That was 45-6 3 years ago. But that was at least in Los Angeles. The home folks didn't have to sit there and take it.
You know, one more thing, Ben. When you're coming off of Monday Night Football and you played on the road, you got a long ride back, that's a disadvantage.
So it is 3rd and 4 on the 28, 6:40 to the half. Zorn looking left and threw it away. Well, I tell you, he was lucky to get the pass off because Eddie Brown was inside his helmet.
Eddie Brown, watch Eddie Brown come right through what we call the 5-hole here. Nobody picked him up. Right here, Eddie Brown right in his face. If Zorn weren't agile, he'd have been sacked.
I tell you, he threw the pass, honestly, with his eyes closed because Brown's hand was right in his face.
The formations that Seattle line up in are susceptible to the dog.
So Herman Weaver will be punting yet again from his own 17-yard line. Eddie Brown standing back on the Ram 35. Good punt by Weaver. Brown going back to his 26. And Eddie is buried. Dufek was able to hit him, and there's a flag on the play. It was Don Dufek, 3 years out of Michigan, who went down under that high pin to hit him. There is Dufek, who played hockey and was such a good hockey player who was drafted by the Detroit Red Wings.
Use the hands, number 28.
Well, Pat Hayden's in a tremendous position. He can throw the ball, he can run it, he can go play action. No matter what he does is the right thing in this situation. And the defense is strictly on defense.
Illegal use of the hands, number 28 on the return.
That would be one of the newer Rams, by the way, Ken Ellis.
Yes. Seattle right now has to get a big play to turn this around to get back in the ball game.
1st and 10 Rams on their own 15-yard line. Elvis Peacock is in there now with McCutcheon. Elvis Peacock ran into Terry Beeson. Beeson, fighting off the block by Rich Saul, was able to make the tackle at the 20-yard line. They picked up 5.
Well, everything that Pat is doing is successful. He runs, he's picking up 4 or 5 yards. If he throws the ball, he has the time, and his receivers are open.
So to 2nd and 4, the ball on the 21. Final Baltimore 38, Cincinnati 28. The 2nd down pitch back to Elvis Peacock, and Peacock is close to the 1st down. Depends now if they spot it on the 25 or not. If not, it's inches away.
We just saw Pete's number 88 on the sideline. We thought today with the Rams defense that Pete's, who's only caught 12 passes, might be a factor in Zorn's pass offense, but he hasn't had a chance to get the ball off.
The ball is just shy of the 25-yard line, and that's really where they have to go, inches. Peacock and McCutcheon. Denard in motion to the left. Peacock fumbled, got the bounce anyway, and a big break. He bounced it just ahead of Beeman's tackle.
Well, here's what you get. They're giving the ball to Peacock, 34. He doesn't have it. The ball slides through his hands. Now he gets a basketball bounce and still keeps possession of it. That's the type of bounce you get on AstroTurf every once in a while. That wouldn't have happened on grass.
Autry Beeman trying to hit him and dislodge it, but it didn't work. Resting is Dennis Boyd on one side, and Jack Youngblood, come on Bubba, on the other. 1st and 10 on the 28. Hayden to Elvis Peacock, and he gets by Butler, and then they bury him at the 35-yard line. He did a little dance around Keith Butler.
Well, what the Rams are doing, they have two fresh backs in there, and that's smart football. They're in the driver's seat. Don't overwork anybody. And again, Pat had all day to throw. Just the run fake held him up, and he could do either throw downfield or dump off to the short man.
2nd and 3 on the Ram 35-yard line. 3:58 to the half. 21-0 Los Angeles. Second man, Lawrence McCutcheon. Stacked up and very close to the first down.
Here's the final. St. Louis defeated Minnesota 37-7.
Walking with a towel around his neck and evidently shaken up is Mark Bell. He's a tight end who backs up Brian Peets. And they're going to measure for the first down. Looks from here like the nose of the football is beyond the chain. We'll see. No, by the time they stretch it full length, they have a couple of inches.
Seattle's coming in with their running defense. See what Pat Hayden does. A good call against this is play action. And he can do it in this situation. He's ahead.
That's a good look at Al Hunter. Remember him when he played at Notre Dame? It's 3rd and inches on the 37 of the Rams. Second man, McCutcheon, and is he drilled by Terry Beeson? Terry Beeson really lowered the boom on him.
Nobody blocked him. And by the way, Terry Beeson is a real fine football player. Watch him come right through there. The fullback was supposed to block him, but missed him.
By the way, Terry Beeson is playing with bad ribs, but you'd never know it. The way he lowered the boom that time, of course, had Peacock's block been able to get him, the play might have worked. So it is a 4th down punting situation for Ken Clark. Tony Green is deep on the Seattle 25. The snapper is Danny Rising. And a line drive kick to Green at the 25 to the 30 to the 39-yard line.
A flag on the play.
Flag, and look who's down.
Clark is down.
The last man to walk away was Carl Eller. Let's see. Let's see if 71 comes in on the punt. Here comes 71. It's Carl Eller who got him.
A very delayed call. Many times they don't make that call.
Here's the call by Pat Haggerty.
Personal foul, running into the kicker, first down.
So a running into the kicker penalty, a first down for the Rams. So everything that the Seattle Seahawks does today.
This would have been their first chance to get field position.
So there's Carl Eller, and after 16 years, still has the enthusiasm. And the crowd is booing Clark because they feel that he was just play acting. Meanwhile, they're checking yet another X-ray on the sidelines. Boy, isn't that a sign of the times?
That is. And that's a great thing to know that right away so you don't put a ball player back in the game.
So it's 1st and 10 on the Ram 42. Little swing to Peacock, flag on the play, and Peacock dazzling as he goes all the way. Brown is chasing him in a foot race, and Peacock wins it. Now let's see if the play stands up.
Illegal motion.
No good. They call it back.
Boy, what a break that is.
See if we can pick the illegal motion on that 58-yard run by Elvis Peacock that went for naught. Watch Hayden to see that head moving sideways. Now, well,
Illegal motion, offense.
That's pretty hard to see, isn't it?
So much of the delight of the crowd, and there hasn't been much to the delight of the crowd. They'll have to do it over.
And sometimes when the defense sees a flag, they let up. Peacock made a fine run. Elvis Peacock's going to be a fine football player for the Rams. He's also going to be a a positive influence on the ball club.
So that's sponsored back on the Ram 37. It is 1st and 15. Peacock went 58 for naught. Hayden with both backs out, throwing to Charlie Young, and Webster pushes him out of bounds.
Well, they can't get in there. You know, Ben, one of the things...
That's Wendell Tyler.
Yeah. One of the things is that Pat will change his count. That time he went on a real quick count. They didn't expect it. There was no rush there at all, and good pass protection by the Rams.
Got it out to the Ram 43-yard line, where it's 2nd and 9.
Doug France is in there now.
Charlie Young is the tight end on the right side, and the backs go out again. And Hayden over the middle at midfield to Lawrence McCutcheon. And, of course, that's a tip-off that Seattle can't get at Hayden when both backs go out.
That's right. You have 5-man pattern and still no rush. And Pat's doing the smart thing. He's picking up 4, 5, 6 yards at a time.
Well, that moved the ball to the Seattle 49-yard line. The 2-minute warning will be coming up with the Rams sitting on top of a commanding lead, 21-0 here at the Kingdome.
And Seattle has yet to make a first down.
The Rams commanding Seattle 21-0 with 2 minutes to the half. Two men who are not down on the field nor on the sidelines, Wendell Tyler and Manu Tuiasosopo, are both back in the dressing room under X-rays. 3rd and 1 for Hayden. On a roll with Bryant and Hara blocking, a pass to McCutcheon, good for the first down. And you get the feeling that with the backs going out, Hayden can complete passes all day long.
Pat can do anything he wants to. Run, pass, screen, draw, throw deep, throw long. He's completely on offense. The Rams have the Seattle defense confused. The Seattle defense is not playing that badly. They've been on the field too long.
By the way, Hayden is on a streak now. He has completed 11 consecutive passes. He is 15 out of 18 for 144 yards. And that 11 straight ties a Ram record. Hayden going for 12 in a row. And he's got his man, Preston Denard, inside the 30. And I tell you what, it's going to be really one-sided now.
Right. And that was perfectly executed. See if we can see it. Plenty of time. Now watch the ball throwing before the offensive man turns. Right there. As soon as he turns around, the ball is right there. You can't break up a play like that unless you have 2 men on the receiver.
That's the veteran Dave Brown, who has started every game for Seattle, who was burned on that catch by Denard. 1st and 10 on the 27. 21-0 Rams, 1:49 to the half. Hayden on a draw, and Peacock deciding to go wide, and Butler brings him down. Well, Keith Butler making the tackle, and the clock still going, 1:37 and counting. On the sideline, Sherman Smith.
Ben, you mentioned that Brown was burned on that play, but when a quarterback has that much time to throw, the defender doesn't have much of a chance to cover him.
Which we should also point out the fact that with Tuiasosopo out of there, you've had Bill Cook and Dennis Boyd doing a lot of the work up front. And Hayden has McCutcheon. And McCutcheon is to the 15-yard line, and another first down with 1 minute and 7 seconds left to the half. Frank Corral will be warming up, whether for field goal or point after. But, of course, the Rams, under these conditions, the Rams have to figure they're going to get a bundle today. They have stopped the clock with 1:07. Timeout down on the field. The Rams leading 21-0 and driving. And Jim Zorn, best he can do is stand on the sidelines and play catch. With 1 minute and 7 seconds left to the half, the Rams leading 21-0, and they want more. They have it 1st and 10 on the Seattle 15-yard line. Heaven is completing passes at will. Hayden is 17 for 20 and 172 yards. 2 touchdowns. And Pat looking for another, and he's going to run. Hardy and Gregory bring him down just as he crossed the 15-yard line, which was the line of scrimmage, and he fell forward for a yard or two. 53 seconds, no huddle, trying to beat the clock. Hayden going to put it up again. Look at all the time. No good. Intended for Charlie Young, and down there was Green along with Webster.
The Rams have 17 first downs. Seattle has 0.
That's about as one-sided a game as we've seen in a while.
Well, you can see why Seattle came into this ball game allowing 66.1%.
Wait a minute. Hayden
passes.
got hurt on that, Coach. Hayden hurt his hand, and he's on the sidelines hurt. So Pat Hayden has, I think
yeah, then I think we can see that again. I believe as he followed through, his hand hit the helmet. That's why he threw the ball a little bit short.
So Jeff Rutledge will come in and be the quarterback for the Rams.
Here it is.
And there's Hayden with his right hand. Here's Rutledge throwing in the left-hand corner to Charlie Young, and the catch is made inside the 6-yard line. So the big tight end handles another one. This is the second time this has happened to Hayden.
That's right. As he followed through, I believe his hand hit the helmet of a defensive lineman, and that was why the ball fluttered and was a little bit short.
That's what happened to Vince Ferragamo and why he's not playing. Dr. Clarence Shields taking Hayden back. Rutledge holding his hands apart. Jeff Rutledge broke Joe Namath's records at Alabama. He threw for 30 touchdowns down south. 6'2", 200-pounder, 22 and a rookie.
They're going for it. They're going to run for it. They're going for it rather than kicking a field goal, which is good in this situation.
So on a 4th and inches, we'll see Rutledge call with Peacock and McCutcheon behind him. He's going to roll and keep. Pawlowski hit him as he fumbled after the whistle. So Rutledge on a roll got inside the 5. Hayden had to look to see what was going on behind him as he goes to the dressing room. And it would appear to be that Rutledge just able to make it, and it'll be 1st and goal from the 5. Timeout as Rutledge will go to the sidelines and check with Ray Malavasi. Another important game, that certainly involving the Rams. New Orleans down 3-0 at halftime to Denver. So a Ram victory and a New Orleans defeat would tie up the NFC West. But of course for the Rams, since Ferragamo is out, and now Hayden having suffered this bad right hand injury for the 2nd time this year, they could be one of those Pyrrhic victories where you rise up out of the ashes.
You wouldn't want to run Rutledge too much on an option play, take a chance of losing him, because now you're down to Nolan Cromwell.
So Ray Malavasi talking to young Jeff Rutledge. This, by the way, is not Rutledge's first appearance of the year. Coming into the game, he was 4 for 12. He had 1 pass intercepted. His longest pass was for 22 yards. Elvis Peacock down on one knee catching his breath. So it is 1st and goal from the 5 for the Rams. 32 seconds to the half. And the Rams leading the Seahawks 21-0. It has been an embarrassment thus far for Seattle, but there's still another half to go. In the backfield, you have Denard, Peacock, and McCutcheon. Now only Peacock. Rutledge looking right under a rush, throwing over Peacock's head and out of the ballpark. Good play, because Hardy was right on top of him, and Rutledge threw it away.
Showed some savvy there, put it away where it can't be intercepted. The report we have is that Hayden injured the middle finger on his right hand.
That's Cornell Webster, 3 years out of Tulsa. He's been playing on a bad knee. Terry Nelson coming out for the Rams. And Charlie Young, the tight end, goes to the right side. So it is 2nd and goal from the 5. Rutledge into the end zone, intercepted. And Brown was able to take it away from Preston Denard. Dave Brown picks off the interception.
Well, they had a pretty good rush on him. He looked at the receiver all the way, and Brown made a big play. Same type of play he made when they beat Atlanta Monday night.
Well, that's Seahawks' further embarrassment. Here's Rutledge getting some heat. That's Beeson trying to get at him.
They drove him out of the cup, out of the pocket. The ball was just a little bit behind the receiver, which allowed Brown to come in and pick it off.
So with 19 seconds to the half, 1st and 10 from the 1-yard line. Zorn with Dorning and Smith. And it'll be Dorning, and he barely got out of the end zone. Almost a safety.
He was hit behind the line.
Jack Youngblood hit him, and you can see Youngblood slam his hands together as if say, almost had it.
Watch this. They got him back there. He just fought his way across.
And he did as the clock ran out. And the boos are heard in the background for the home team, the Seattle Seahawks. The Rams scored on a Wendell Tyler 3-yard run. The Rams scored on a pass from Hayden to Charlie Young after a recovered Tony Green fumble on a punt. The Rams also scored on a pass from Hayden to Drew Hill, 17 yards. 21-0 Rams, and of course one of the more surprising parts of the first half story, the fact that Seattle completely shut down, did not pick up a first down, and Zorn was unable to complete a pass. He was 0 for 7.
Well, we talked about when Zorn is hot, he's really hot, and when he's off, he's way off. However, I think that the Monday Night Football may be a factor for the Seattle offense. They came into this ball game one of the top offensive teams in the league. They have yet to make a first down. They haven't had field position, and the Seattle defense hasn't played that badly.
Well, the Seattle defense, of course, has been one of the poorest defense in the NFL, whether it be pass or rush. And it would appear as if the Rams have been able to handle them in both departments. And as you can see, they piled up a 21-0 lead at halftime. It's still halftime at the Kingdome. The Rams leading Seattle 21-0. The Rams scoring 3 times on a 3-yard run by Wendell Tyler, capitalizing on a fumble by Tony Green on an attempted punt reception. They recovered and then scored on a 2-yard pass to Charlie Young, and finally a 17-yard pass to Drew Hill. Using the word pass twice reminds us to tell you that Pat Hayden set a Ram passing record of 13 consecutive passes. The record had been 11 by Van Brocklin, Bratkowski, and Roman Gabriel, but Hayden did it today, hitting on 13 straight. The preceding announcement was furnished as a public service by the National Football League. Even though the Rams are leading 21-0, we get a report now that Pat Hayden suffered a broken finger and is out indefinitely. Mano Tuiasosopo is out for the game. Wendell Tyler with bruised ribs, as you can see, is there without pads. The kick will be to Benjamin at the 2, to the 15, 20, 25, 30, to the 31-yard line, where the Hawks will put it in play. 1st and 10.
I can never remember a game where the opposition didn't make at least one first down.
In fact, it's the rare thing where the first downs almost give you the score. The Rams 18, the Seahawks none, and the score is 21-0 Los Angeles. There is Gregory, Bill Gregory, hoping that the Seattle offense will keep the ball for a while. 1st and 10 on the 31. Zorn has Largent. And Largent is to the 41, and that looks like a first down. And wait till you hear the crowd.
Well, Zorn has not had any pass protection, and he did the right thing. He threw a delayed underneath pattern that doesn't take long to develop.
The Largent making the reception to the 41-yard line, almost to the 42, where it's 1st and 10. Smith and Dorning running behind Zorn. Rabel wide left. And it'll be Dorning getting around Dreyer, but Cromwell takes him down before he can get back to the 40-yard line.
He didn't have a chance. The Ram defense penetrated. They were right up there.
You know, the Rams are the top NFC team against the run. They've allowed only 100 yards a game on the ground. And for that matter, only one runner has gained 100 yards against the Rams, and that was Tony Dorsett.
And it's unusual, Ben, to be using your nickel defense on 2nd down. The Rams have been able to use that nickel defense on 2nd down practically the whole first half, and they're in it now.
So it is 2nd and 13 from the 39. Carl Eller taking a breather. McCullum in a slot right inside Largent. And here goes Smith out across the 40 to the 42. Larry Brooks and Fred Dreyer on top of him.
And they're still trying to break up the gut, run against the nickel with no middle linebacker there, and the Rams are running stunts and plugging up the middle holes.
So they're just about back where they started, only they've used up 2 downs. It's 3rd and 10 from the 42. That's the clock control on the sidelines. See whether that has suddenly gone on the fritz. Oh, the clock on the scoreboard is ticking away. 1 30-second clock is not working. That's what it is. Zorn getting heat, and Fanning will sack him. Mike Fanning drops him back on the 33.
Well, that's what it's been today. The Rams fake the dog, come out of it, rush with 4. They don't have to dog. They got 4 fine rushers, and Zorn really hasn't had time and protection to throw that football.
As you look at Bill Gregory, a reminder, the Rams were in the red as far as bookkeeping in sacks. They had been sacked more times than they had sacked opposing quarterback, but they're balancing their books today. 4th and 18 from the 34. Low snap. Weaver gets it away. Eddie Brown on his 26 calling for a fair catch, and they'll spot it at the 28.
4.0 hang time.
There's a man violating a George Allen rule.
Yeah,
huh?
well, I never cared for my players to sit in their helmets. The helmets were made to wear on your head, and that was a little rule we had. If you want to rest, go down to one knee. Don't sit on your helmet.
Waddy has a hamstring, one reason why he's not out there scampering. And again, we'll repeat that Pat Hayden suffered a broken finger on his right hand just at the very end of the first half. And so Jeff Rutledge not only is a quarterback, he is the only quarterback.
Around field number 88 declined. First down.
Well, then the best strategy with an inexperienced quarterback like Rutledge now, with a 21-0 lead, is to run the football and don't throw it too much. Grind it out. Keep the clock going.
So Rutledge, the rookie out of Alabama, is in control. It's his ball game now, and they've given him a 21-0 cushion to lean on. Second man is Lawrence McCutcheon, and McCutcheon out across the 30 to about the 33-yard line. Beeson on top of him, the middle linebacker. Lawrence McCutcheon, it's good to see him back in.
Yes, it is, and this could give him a big lift, and the offense a positive factor, because he's still a good back, and he doesn't make mistakes. He's a good receiver, and he's a leader on this ball club.
You know, starting with today's game, as you look at Steve Rabel, the Rams have 7 games left, and of their 7 remaining opponents, only one currently, that's New Orleans, has a winning record. That's McCutcheon again, with Butler bringing him down. In talking about New Orleans, let's check. They were down 3-0 to Denver at the half, and as you can see, New Orleans has tied it up 3-3.
You know, the surprising thing that's taking place is the New Orleans defense has been improving each week. They did a heck of a job last week holding the Redskins to 10 points.
To conclude the point, as you see Jack Reynolds, old hacksaw, those 7 opponents have a cumulative record of 24-39. 3rd and 1 on the 37. Rutledge handing to McCutcheon, and McCutcheon has the first down at the 39-yard line. Jim Zorn reading his lips, saying broken. There are the 2 defensive ends who would make a very fine set of bookends or cufflinks. Fred Dreyer and Jeff Youngblood.
2 good pass rushers. They're going to measure for the first down.
And it's a first down. McCutcheon making it, so it'll be 1st and 10 on the 39. Further report on Pat Hayden. He broke the little finger on his right hand, and he is in the dressing room. 1st and 10 from the 39 for Rutledge. And it's Lawrence McCutcheon. And McCutcheon is across the 40 up to about the 43.
Well, then when you can run on a ball club, then you can usually pass on them, and then you can go play action. So that's the position the Seattle defense is in. They have trouble stopping the run, and then when the Rams pass, they're playing run over pass.
So 2nd and 7 from the 42. 21-0 Rams. So McCutcheon is the workhorse right now. Rutledge, as you said, George, just staying on the ground. Meanwhile, a very quiet offensive line for Seattle, just waiting for a chance to get back out there. And you know the old story. Winners tell jokes, and there's Jack Youngblood feeling very happy about things up to here.
Here comes 2 tight ends in now to run the ball again or give them a play-action pass. But the big thing here with Rutledge, get the first down.
3rd and 1 on the Ram 48. The 3rd down conversions has been big today, 7 for 12. That has not been the Ram story this year at all. Cullen Bryant is not going to get it. You know, the Rams ranked 26th in the 2018 NFL in 3rd down percentage. Would you believe that?
Yes.
26.
Pat will bring that up today after his performance.
They had converted a 3rd down into a 1st down only 34% of the time this year. Only Kansas City and the Giants have a lower percentage.
Illegal motion. Offense declined. 4th down.
So on the illegal motion penalty, naturally Seattle declines it. They'll take the down. That makes it 4th and 2. Ken Clark will be kicking, and deep is Tony Green.
Looks like they're going after it here.
Here they come. And he got it away. A line drive. Green fielding it and grabbed by Andrews. And the 1st-round draft choice of the Rams brings him down. That's George Andrews.
Watch Clark do a good job of acting here. Now watch him fall down.
Pulowski never touched him.
Once in a while you get a call that way.
So Seattle will put it in play. 1st and 10 from their own 25. Rams 21 and the Seahawks nothing. (21-0) Rams. 9:47 left in the 3rd quarter. Jim Zorn and the Hawks put it in play. 1st and 10 from their own 25. Smith, the deep man behind Gurning. Zorn faking once to Smith. Now throwing over Smith's head. He was all alone.
He had something going there. That could have been a good gainer for him. He set that up real well, but he threw it high. Now
and the man chasing him was Jerry Wilkinson, who was 6'9". That's why he threw it high. Here comes Wilkinson on the right side, along with Fanning.
He had enough time. He had a block there, another blocker.
There's Vince Ferragamo's right hand. He suffered a similar injury that popped up to get Pat Hayden today. In completing a pass, his right hand slammed the helmet of an on-rushing lineman, and that sidelined him. We've also had Manu Tuiasosopo sidelined for the rest of the game with a bad knee. Wendell Tyler suffered rib injuries. Kent Hill suffered an injury to his arm. Zorn buying some time and scrambling. And it's incomplete.
There's a penalty on the defense. That ball should have been intercepted by Nolan Cromwell, number 21. And the offensive man, that's it.
It'll be against Seattle. By the way, in talking about all the injuries, we want to send along our very best wishes for a speedy recovery to one of our favorites, CBS cameraman Joe Vicens, who is getting well, we hope, in Los Angeles. Get well and get back soon, little Joe.
We have offensive pass interference, number 88, 2nd down.
Largent and Eddie Brown will just knock him out of bounds along with Bob Brzezinski.
Well, here we go with the Rams faking a dog again, but coming in with just a 4-man rush. Now Zorn steps up away from the rush, then rolls out to his left and hits Largent coming across underneath. That's his favorite receiver. They need one big play to give them a little confidence. They haven't been able to get anything going.
So it is 3rd and 6 from the 29. Zorn picking up only 1 first down today so far. Jim Youngblood is coming, and he throws hard, and the ball gets away from Jeff Moore. He almost took Moore's head off. He threw the ball so hard, and Moore, a rookie, had that pass eat him up.
Well, I tell you, Seattle is going to see the same thing again next week, whoever they play. This has been so effective. These nickel dogs coming in with 7 and 8 men that Zorn doesn't have time to even set up, let alone throw the ball.
Lawrence McCutcheon has been a pretty busy man today, so he takes a well-deserved rest on the sidelines. Herman Weaver will be punting from his own 17. Eddie Brown standing back on the Ram 33. Tries to hang it for Brown. Eddie calling for a fair catch. Lets the ball hit, and it will go out of bounds, and they will mark it inside the 30 at the Ram 28. So the Rams will put it in play. 1st and 10 on their own 28-yard line. All Los Angeles in the great indoors, 21-0. Not much cheerleading here in Seattle today, with the Rams 21 and the Seattle Seahawks nothing. And the Rams have the ball 1st and 10 on their own 28-yard line. Jeff Rutledge playing now for the injured Pat Hayden. Rutledge pitching to McCutcheon with Bryant blocking. Lawrence upended as he crossed the 30 out to the 32. In case you joined us a little late, Pat Hayden, on his last pass of the first half, he had set a Ram record. He had completed 13 in a row, but on his 14th passing attempt, he slammed his right hand on the helmet of an on-charging lineman, broke the little finger on his right hand, and he is through for the day. George, would you say that Hayden would be able to play at all with a broken little finger?
Oh, he could play if they had to use him. He could hand off. And before we used to take x-rays during the game, players played with broken fingers and no one knew about it.
So it's all in the capable hands of young Jeff Rutledge right now, because Ferragamo has a hand injury. And for the Rams, even on a day when everything else has gone right for them, they suffer 2 injuries. Ribs for Wendell Tyler, and the hand of Hayden, and the arm of Kent Hill.
We're going to see what we saw in the previous series: running the ball, run the ball, only throw if you have to, and then when they have to throw, Rutledge might roll out to get away from the rush.
3rd and 5 from the 33. Both backs go out, and Rutledge puts it up, and it is no good. Denard had run out of real estate, making the catch out of bounds. So Rutledge is 1 for 4. Meanwhile, Ken Clark is going to have to punt the ball, and with 7:46 left in the 3rd, Seattle still trying to generate some kind of an offense. Preston Denard, who made 1 reception today that was a beauty, and for Denard, he has caught 5 for 93 yards.
Looks like they're going after the block kick.
Ken Clark, who has had 1 block, that was by Oakland, but he got it away. Tony Green at his 25 to the 30, 35, 40, out of bounds at the 41. A good individual effort by Tony Green.
Now that's the best field position Zorn has had today.
That's right.
Now he and the offense have to do something about it.
Seattle putting it in play. 1st and 10 on their own 41-yard line. Their best field position of what has been a long afternoon for them. 7:34 left in the 3rd. Mike Fanning chasing Zorn. Throwing on the run, no good. Intended for the tight end, Peets, and it was Dave Elmendorf right there defending.
Well, it's a good thing Zorn is active, because if he weren't, he'd have been sacked on that play, because Mike Fanning, number 79, had his man beaten and pushed Zorn out of the pocket.
As the Rams look on, and in this instance, punter Ken Clark, you know, in their 4 years, the Seahawks have played 8 interconference games, and they've won 7 of them. The only NFC team to have beaten the Seahawks since Seattle moved to the AFC is Green Bay at Milwaukee last season. That's since Seattle moved to the AFC. 2nd and 10 from the 41. Zorn throwing low and behind Durning. He was bothered by Bob Brodzinski.
You know what? This is so dominating, Ben, that he can't even get off a screen pass. Do you realize that? He's tried to run a screen, and he hasn't been able to get off a screen pass. Now, on that play, again, there's McCutcheon on the sidelines. He must feel great to get back into action again, because he hasn't played much the last 3 weeks. On that play, if Zorn weren't agile, he would have been sacked.
When you look at the line offensively for Seattle, there are 3-year men like Lynch and Yarno and August. Pete's a tight end is too, but they are just finding it impossible to keep the Rams off Zorn's neck. Larry Brooks takes him down easily.
Wow.
Brooks came from the outside, and they were so busy handling the inside, he had a clean shot at it.
They ran a stunt then, and then they jammed Large at number 80. Let's see if we can see him jam number 80. The best way to play pass defense is don't cover him. Jam him like that. That's almost illegal right there.
That's Sid Justin doing the jamming, whose brother, Kerry Justin, plays for Seattle. So it is 4th and 18 from the 38. 7:04 left in the third. Herman Weaver will be punting from his own 20-yard line. Eddie Brown back on the Ram 30. And Weaver arrows one to the 24-yard line, and back to the 20 goes Eddie Brown. And Brown is finally brought down by number 25, Don Dufek. He's the fellow we told you who was a fine hockey player drafted by the Detroit Red Wings. But the Rams have the ball. 6:40 left in the third. 21-0.
4.8 hang time.
Don't forget, tonight on CBS, this great lineup, 60 minutes. Archie Bunkers plays one day at a time. Alice, the Jeffersons, and CBS reports Teddy. All on CBS tonight. We can also duck in a late score. Craig Morton has just passed 12 yards to Rick Upchurch for a touchdown. Denver leading New Orleans 10-3, 12:26 left in the fourth quarter. Eddie Hill on the loose. Eddie Hill to the 45 and knocked out of bounds by Autry Beeman at the 49-yard line of Seattle.
You know, that last punt by Thunderfoot Weaver was 49 yards.
And as you pointed out, a great hang time. Let's take a look at Eddie Hill now, off to the races.
Well, the reason he can do this, there's no penetration, there's no force man, there's no cutback man. So he's got a big hole, a freeway to run on. If it weren't for the sidelines, he could have gone all the way.
1st and 10 on the Seattle 49. Here comes Peacock with Eddie Hill blocking on Webster, and he gets inside the 45. On the sidelines, and there's always someone being ministered to, and you haven't seen much of this man, the new member of the Rams, Ricky Odom, who went to school at SC. He was originally a 7th-round draft choice of Kansas City, played briefly with San Francisco. He also spent a year in the Canadian Football League. And the offensive line of Seattle just sitting mutely watching the Rams dominate. 2nd and 3 on the Seattle 42. Eddie Hill, John Williams, no block on Simpson, and Simpson able to cut back on John Williams and throw the block that brings down Eddie Hill. Good play by Keith.
Yeah, that's what you want. Your strong safety is the contained man. He should be getting across, turning the play in, or making the tackle. Guys like Kenny Houston are always in the opponent's backfield. Now, that was a good play by Simpson. That's the way you have to stop the strong side sweep.
You talk about fancy footwork for an offensive halfback, but if you're a defensive back and you have some big tackle or guard, you've got to fancy footwork your way out of that block, and that's what Keith Simpson did. 1st and 10 on the Seattle 39. Peacock and Hill, and here comes Peacock. Williams blocking for him, but there was only one Williams, and there were 4 Seahawks. And Jack Patera, who at one time was a defensive coach, the line coach for the Rams, in those powerful days of Lundy, Jones, and Greer, and Olson.
Yes, and Jack, I'm sure, figured they were going to win this ball game because his statements in the paper were so positive that they came in off a big win.
Ray Malavasi looking on as his Rams have it in high gear today. 2nd and 6 from the 35 of Seattle. Eddie Hill, Dennis Harrah blocking, but it broke down. John Williams trying to block on Bill Cook, number 67, who's just getting up in the right-hand corner of the screen. And he couldn't get Cook, and Harrah couldn't get Cook, and Dennis is annoyed.
You know, this is fortunate for the Rams from this standpoint. It's unfortunate that Pat hurt his finger, but Rutledge is not in a situation where he'd have to throw to win the ball game. They can give him some good experience here today and just grind it out and keep the clock.
A little on-the-job training. 3rd and 7 from the Seattle 36. And Rutledge passing off the hands of Terry Nelson.
Oh, a late flag.
I think they're going to accuse Autry Beeman of interfering with Terry Nelson. Beeman is number 27.
Yeah, kind of a late call, Vin.
Bill Gregory is shaken up for
Number
Seattle.
47, defense. Pass interference, first down.
Yep, pass interference against Autry Beeman.
Seattle dogged on that situation to put a little pressure on Rutledge.
Standing on the sidelines with his little finger in his right hand in what appears to be an aluminum cast is Pat Hayden. You can just see it. Pat congratulating Jack Reynolds, and there's a good look at the fingers. So it is 1st and 10 on the pass interference call from the 26. Eddie Hill with Harrah blocking on Simpson. And Beeman finally knocks him out of bounds at the 19. Dennis Harrah finally got his man. He zeroed in on Keith Simpson. And Harrah knocked Simpson down, and that gave Eddie Hill the runway. And, of course, for Dennis Harrah, number 60 for the Rams, he's playing with what they call a stress fracture of the leg. He played actually with the fracture, and 3 different x-rays didn't show it until the calcium formed around the fracture. He missed a game. They put him in a plastic cast with a bubble over the fracture area. So Dennis Harrah is playing under those conditions. Meanwhile, Robert Hardy, the rookie tackle for Seattle, is shaken up. So he will join Mano Tuiasosopo. Both young tackles have been roughed up today.
Then what happens when the opposition runs the football this much and is successful? Your defensive line takes a pounding. The Rams are going to have a chance to set up some sort of a record today running the football.
2nd and 3 on the Seattle 19. Eddie Hill, submarine, nice play, and the man who made it was Dennis Boyd. And look at those looks, those iron stares of the offensive line. That's the center, of course, John Yarno, along with Tom Lynch.
The Rams have 206 yards rushing, and it's still in the 3rd quarter.
And 172 plus 9, 180 yards passing. No wonder Patera looks like he can't wait to get this thing over. And Steve Largent, who came in and played with a groin pull, but it's been a long day for him. 3rd and 4. Eddie Hill cutting back. And Hill gets down to about the yard line. And once again, Dennis Harrah and Jackie Slater were pulling 60 and 78 to help Eddie Hill on his way.
Hill's been timed in 4.55, which is excellent speed. And he's showing that speed running wide, running sweeps.
And time running out on Seattle. It is 21-0 Rams. 2:47 left in the 3rd. And the Rams, who are frustrated in the closing seconds of the first half, are right knocking on the door again. It's McCutcheon to the 9-yard line, and it was Cook who grabbed him at the ankles and brought him down. McCutcheon had carried the ball 45 times all year. And McCutcheon has carried 13 times today, so he's getting his best workout in quite a while.
And he needs it. This is good for him, and I'm sure he likes this.
It is 2nd and 9 on the Seattle 10. Rutledge to Peacock, and Peacock is stacked up at the 5-yard line. Among others, Pete Cronin right in the middle of it, number 57. You like Cronin?
Yes, I like him. We interviewed him. We thought we were going to get him with the Redskins. We felt that he'd be available in about the 4th round, and when Seattle made that trade with Dallas and got those extra picks, they got Beeson and Cronin, 2 good selections.
Is that the Tony Dorsett trade?
Yeah, the Tony Dorsett trade.
3rd and 4. The ball just shy of the Seattle 5-yard line. Jeff Rutledge trying to bring the Rams home. Tripped up by Cronin, but he's still on his feet and throws it away, intended for Denard. Cronin had gotten Rutledge, and Rutledge was able to get away from Cronin. But then, with Boyd putting the heat on him, he threw low and away, and he came out of, as they say in the parlance of the track, he threw a shoe.
Well, he did a good job getting it off. He could have been sacked. He looks pretty good. He's in there in a situation where he can do what he wants to do, what he did in college at Alabama, run the ball first and throw second.
Pat Hayden on the sidelines. His day is finished, and the Rams hope only his day, with a broken small finger of the right hand. The spot by Nolan Cromwell at the 13. So it's a 23-yard field goal attempt. It's up, and it is good. So Corral, who had a 40-yard field goal attempt blocked in the 2nd quarter, comes back now on a chip shot to put the Rams out in front, 24-0. This crowd, and it's a big crowd, about 62,000 here with over 64,000 paid, and they're awfully quiet. But we are not going to be quiet when talking about the CBS Sports Washington, D.C. International next Saturday at 4 p.m. Eastern Time. Live coverage of the 28th running of this turf race from Laurel Race Course in Maryland. Expected to compete Golden Act, Bowl Game, Native Courier, Son of Love II, and others. And also included in the show a live coverage of a special tribute to Affirm from Aqueduct Racetrack in New York. That's all next Saturday, 4 p.m. Eastern Time and 3 p.m. Pacific.
Well, you know, Seattle is fortunate that they still have a chance. It would take a miracle for them to come back and win this ball game, but they could be out of it completely. They need a big play by their kicking team or their offense.
A knuckleball going down, picked up by Jeff Moore at the 2-yard line. Moore is to the 20, 25, and 32-yard line when the Rams bring him down. So Jeff Moore, a rookie out of Jackson State, making the return. He's a 12th round pick. And he got his hands on the football and did a little running. 1st and 10 on the 32. With 1 minute left in the 3rd. And Seattle, they didn't even want to talk about that 45-6 licking they took in 1976, and it's been a very long day for them here in Seattle today. 24-0 Rams. Zorn, 1st and 10 on his own 32. No good.
Well,
Jack Reynolds right there, and receiver in and out of his arms, intended for Sherman Smith coming out of the backfield.
the ball was low and behind him. And Seattle has only made 20 yards running. We've been talking about their passing yardage. They have but 20 yards rushing the football.
-3 passing.
They're a -3 yards in passing now. That's the kind of it. Hi, Mom. The Rams, of course, feeling awfully good right now. There's Terry Nelson, having been really scrubbed twice and then beaten by the Giants. They have come back to enjoy themselves today. 2nd and 10 on the Seattle 32. Zorn, a play-action fake. And he got it away off the hands of Cromwell, out of the hands of Rabel. Nolan Cromwell had a better handle on it than Rabel.
Well, he does have tough coverage to throw into. He goes play action, which isn't going to freeze the Rams because they don't have a running game. But now he has to throw over a deep drop. Playing pass defense. See how deep Nolan Cromwell was? Almost intercepted it. He's got to throw over a front line, and then the back people are very deep, so he's got a tough assignment.
49 seconds left in the 3rd quarter. It is 24-0 Rams, and Jim Zorn somehow or other still trying to get the Seahawks to fly. Zorn going deep, intended for Rabel, double coverage on him as he was going down. He never had a chance. And the Wolves howl some more.
Rabel had his man beaten, but the ball was overthrown.
So Herman Weaver will be asked to punt again. So Zorn has completed 2 out of 15 for 25, but he's been sacked for 28. So the offense passing a -3 yards. Dan Durning, a running back, has carried twice for a -3 yards. So I'll give you an idea of the Seattle offense today. It has been non-existent. Eddie Brown fielding it at the 32 to the 40 and out of bounds at about the 43, and there's a flag on the play. So Pat Hayden, who guided his ball club to a 21-0 halftime lead. You talk about empathy, the difference between the two words, sympathy and empathy. Well, they have empathy for each other. They each have the same hand injury to discuss. Vince Ferragamo on the right and Pat Hayden on the left. No injury except perhaps to the pride of young Jim Zorn. Head down. Here's a call.
Personal foul. Tipping, number 24 on the return.
Jim Zorn watching. Sherman Smith is on the phone. Frank Corral and other Rams resting, and the Rams have it 1st and 10 on their own 29. Eddie Hill turned in by Brown and finally hammered by Norman as he got to the 25-yard line.
Well, you know, the Seattle defense is starting to crowd up. They know the Rams are going to run, so they're really running against more than just the front 4 and the 3 linebackers.
Fred Dreyer resting on the sidelines. Time is running out. We have 7 seconds left of the 3rd quarter, and the Rams are in no hurry to do anything right now. So it looks like they're going to let the clock just run out, and they will. So that's the end of the 3rd quarter in the Kingdome in Seattle with the score, the Rams 24 and the Seahawks nothing. We now pause for a word from your local station. And that picture would be self-explanatory. Who's the gentleman she's talking with, George?
A man named Milt Fromer, a friend of George's.
So it is 2nd and 9 on the Ram 25. Rutledge going to put it up and just flips it out to Peacock. Hara, good block for him. And there goes Peacock out across the 40. Dennis Hara does a beautiful job to open it up.
Yes, he does.
That's great to see you.
And Peacock, every time Peacock's been in a ball game, they've run this screen to him. And you know, Peacock shows, look at that block by Dennis Hara. Peacock shows the running ability that he had at Oklahoma. He makes people miss. He's got size and speed, and he's got power.
So it is 1st and 10 on the Ram 42. 14:24 left in the final quarter. Rutledge giving to Eddie Hill, and he's got away from Cronin. He got away from Jackson, but he's not getting away from Autry Beeman at the 41.
By the way, the Rams' next opponent, the Chicago Bears, are leading Detroit 35-7. Walter Payton just scored again in a 5-yard run.
And as far as a possible shutout with a player down, and the player down is Jackie Slater of the Rams. So timeout for the moment. The Rams shut out St. Louis 21-0. Seattle has not been shut out this year. And Jackie Slater in pain. So with 14 minutes and 3 seconds left in the game, the Rams leading the Seattle Seahawks 24-0. Jackie Slater, who was down, came off the field under his own power and is walking off evidently an injury to the left knee. It is 2nd and 10 for the Rams on their own 42, leading 24-0. McCutcheon and Peacock. It'll be McCutcheon, and a fine play made at the last moment by Dufek. He was able to take Peacock's block and still make the tackle.
Well, Dufek's right up on the line of scrimmage like a linebacker. They're all playing run. By the way, you get more bumps and bruises when you play on AstroTurf. When you play on a synthetic field, there's usually more injuries. Slater seems to be fine. He's walking around.
In case you were wondering about Seattle being shut out, the only time in the existence of 4 years of the franchise, Seattle was shut out 2 years ago in New England in the sleet and rain, 31-0. And the Rams are trying to do it to him indoors. Eller trying to get in, and Rutledge cranking up and going deep to Denard. Broken up by Brown.
Denard was open for a touchdown. Had his men beaten. The ball hung. Let's see if we can see it again. He has to wait for the ball that allows Brown to recover and knock it down. Here it is again. See how he has the defender beaten? The ball hangs and the defender recovers and breaks it up.
So Ken Clark is kicking and got it away. Another line drive. Tony Green at the 25, 30. Spins at the 35 to the 37-yard line. He just did get out of the way of Brown and Harris before he went down.
That's the type of kick you like to return, a line drive.
So they'll spot it at the 36, and that's where the Hawks will put it in play. 1st and 10 on their own 36-yard line.
The Rams have made 381 yards total offense to 15 for Seattle.
Look at those numbers. Yards passing -1 for Jim Zorn. Second man, and that's Dorming. He got away from Dreyer, but Bob Brzezinski came up to drill him. And he didn't quite get back to the line of scrimmage. So he lost a yard on the play. It'll be 2nd and 11.
He had no chance on that. The Rams played it perfectly. Now the Rams again are in that nickel defense. Usually you put all your nickel plays on one reel. The Rams are going to have 400 foot of nickel film.
2nd and 11 from the 35. Dornink and Moore are the running backs. They're coming. There he goes. So with Brzezinski and Jack Youngblood, Fanning and Brooks all breaking through, Zorn didn't have a prayer. It looked like just a desperation to get rid of the ball.
They could have called that both ways. They gave Zorn the benefit of the doubt.
That's about the only thing he's getting down there from anybody, plus a few hard licks from the Rams.
When you get a rush like this, it screens and draws, and an occasional gadget that'll work for you.
So it is 3rd and 24.
With his ability, then he can't even get away from the rush. The Rams front four are playing a great game.
So 3rd and 24 on the Seattle 22. Off the hands of Smith, out of the arms of Youngblood.
Well, you see, Zorn going back, he's expecting to be sacked. He threw the ball a little harder than Sherman Smith expected it. If we see it again, the ball was thrown real hard, and Sherman was covered anyway. He wouldn't have made the first down. Here it is. Now watch how jumpy Zorn is going back there. He's expecting to be sacked. See him how he's stepping up? That was thrown too hard at a short distance.
So the 4th down and 24 punt coming from Herman Weaver. And going over to his left is Eddie Brown at the 41. Nolan Cromwell trips on the rug, so Brown is stacked up. Nolan Cromwell was trying to come over and throw a block, and he just tripped on the AstroTurf. That's got to be embarrassing when you're out there to throw a block and you trip over your own feet.
And that happens many times on the AstroTurf.
All Los Angeles 24-0. The Seattle Seagulls, but they haven't had much to cheer about today. 1st and 10 Rams on their own 44. Second man is Elvis Peacock, and he's out almost to midfield, the 49-yard line. So a pickup of 5, and that'll make it 2nd and 5. I guess professional football strictly peaks and valleys, and Seattle went from the peak of Monday night to the valley of Sunday against the Rams, and it reminds me that out of the valley to the peak comes young Bruce Allen, coach of the Occidental football team. And George, congratulations to you and to Bruce. He finally won his first as a coach. Huh?
Thank you, Ben. They came from behind and showed a lot of character and won 30-29 over Laverne.
2nd and 5 from the 49. Play action fake, end around to Preston Denard. To the 40, and going out of bounds at about the 37. So who pulls the gadget play? Not Seattle, but the Rams.
The Rams. Well, they're all playing the run. Everybody's up playing the run. That's a pretty good call. The free safety and the strong safety are right up there like a couple of extra linebackers, and they've been running weak. Good call.
That told a lot, that picture of John Yarno with his head down, the 3-year center out of Idaho, giving you the feelings of the Seattle offense. It has just come dead in the water today. 1st and 10 on the Seattle 36. Pitch back to Eddie Hill. Peacock, a pretty good block on Dufek, and Dufek came back and made the tackle anyway. And that's a great play for Dan Dufek to take the block and still not quit.
He did. He's one of their better special team players. He's a tough football player, a real competitor, and has done a good job for them.
His father is athletic director at Kent State. He has a brother, Bill, who was a 6th-round draft choice of the Jets this year, offensive lineman. Don Dufek, 3 years out of Michigan. One of the few bright moments for a heads-down Seattle offensive squad on the sideline. 2nd and 13 from the 39. Rutledge to Peacock. And Peacock trying to get help from Hara, but he cut behind him, and down he went.
You know, Ben, 38, Webster played that perfectly. He came up. Here we're going to see it again. And his job is to turn the play in. Don't let him circle you. Turn him in. Now watch him. Peacock makes a fake, and he turns him in. Now the pursuit can come over and make the play. Fine play by Webster.
So it is 3rd and 14 on the 40. Cornell Webster, 3 years out of Tulsa, playing with a bad knee. Number 38 for Seattle. 3rd and 14 from the 40 for the Rams. Rutledge overthrowing Eddie Hill, and Denard tried to come back for it and couldn't make it. So for Jeff Rutledge, he is 3 for 9.
Well, you know, the Rams have a chance to gain 300 yards running today, which is a rarity in pro football. It's common in college football.
Ken Clark will be asked to punt, and we're waiting for any further report on the New Orleans-Denver game. Last we heard, Denver had scored on a touchdown from Craig Morton to take a 10-3 lead. 4th and 14 from the 40. Clark standing on his own 45. Tony Green standing back on the 10. Clark trying to kick it out of bounds, and does, but it doesn't go very far, and we'll see where they finally spot it. There's the latest. It's still 10-3. Denver led 3-0 at the half. New Orleans tied it, and now we understand the time remaining in that game, Denver and New Orleans, is down to 1 minute and 8 seconds. Remember 60 Minutes tonight. Remember the swine flu? Well, there's quite a story on that feature tonight on 60 Minutes right here on CBS following NFL football. 1st and 10 on the 31 with 8:52 left in the game. Here's Jeff Moore. And Moore running into Cromwell, and Nolan will bring him down with the help of Eddie Brown.
The fans want something to yell about. They had a big cheer when he crossed the line of scrimmage.
The ball will be spotted at the 39, so a pickup of 8. That's another picture that's worth 1,000 words as to what kind of a day it has been for the Seattle Seahawks. Meanwhile, there are other people who can forget all about the play-by-play. 2nd and 2 from the 39. Hunter and Moore in the backfield. And a lot of movement, and Zorn fumbling, the whistle blowing the ball dead, so was he.
Yeah, Zorn called an audible, and his own right tackle, somebody on the right side,
76,
jumped off. Right tackle, right. Steve August jumped offside. This is what the Rams defense has been doing all day, is faking the dogs, dogging, dictating to Zorn, forcing him to call audibles, or run the play that he called in the huddle.
2nd and 7 on the Seattle 34-yard line. 8 minutes left in the game. 24-0 Rams. The Seahawks faced with the black thoughts of being shut out at home, and being shut out for only the 2nd time in the history of the young franchise. Zorn is going to be eaten up by Dave Elmendorf on a safety blitz.
Well,
and they're just charging at will.
They can't pick that up, Ben. They got a 5-man pattern, and they're coming in with more. You see that? Elmendorf, 42, coming right in there. Nobody touched him, just like Eddie Brown before. They got more rushers and they got blockers.
They have now sacked Zorn 5 times for 47 yards. He has passed for 25 yards, which means he's in the red to a tune of a minus 24 yards. Yeah, isn't that luck? Sorry. Understand. Don't let it get you. 3rd and 14 from the 27. A big day for the Rams, and one of those things for the Seahawks. And down goes Zorn again, and it is Jack Youngblood who tied him up.
Now that time they only came in with 4 men, but this happens. You come in with 6 and 7. They ran a stunt. They didn't pick it up.
Let me ask you something. Could Seattle learn anything from this, or are they just totally being whipped by a much better team?
Well, they're being whipped by a better team, but as I mentioned, the next game they play,
there's Eddie Brown, and he's across midfield.
They're going to get similar treatment then. There's a flag on that, because it's been so effective today that the next opponent that they play will use similar tactics.
It is so effective today, you wonder why other teams hadn't used it, or maybe they did in the first 4 games.
Number 70 on the return, 70.
Of course, not many teams have guys like Youngblood and Dreyer and Brooks and Fanning. These people all rush the passer very well. And then I think the other thing, we got to be fair with Seattle. They're coming off of a great victory Monday night. Their first Monday night game in the history of the franchise.
Clipping number 70 on the return.
And they came from behind and won. And you lose a lot of energy. I'm sure they were still thinking about that victory Thursday and Friday of this week. Largent couldn't practice. They had some other bumps and bruises.
And the Rams are a proud club that had come in here having lost 3 in a row, so they went to the whip, and the combination turns out to be all Rams today. Lawrence McCutcheon around Jackie Slater's block of Pulowski, but Pulowski slowed up Slater and jammed up and turned into play, so then the help came in time.
That's all the Rams should do right now, is just pound it out, run the football, keep the clock moving. Well, the Rams will be tied for first after today.
Final now, Denver 10 and New Orleans 3. So there'll be a tie for first place in the NFC West. The Rams beating Seattle. And Joe Harris of the Rams. Next week, the Rams in Chicago. On a draw to Peacock. And there goes the Peacock.
Now that's what I think, I'm surprised Seattle hasn't been able to do. Run some draws, run some screens, the way the Rams are rushing them. Of course, it's too late now, but it still would be a good call.
So Elvis Peacock carrying that time, and for a lot of Rams getting a lot of work now. Peacock has carried 11 times for 45 yards. You could read Zorn's lips and saying, "Coach, you mean." Well, at this stage, they haven't gotten a meaning. 1st and 10 with 5:56 left. Lawrence McCutcheon got around Gregory. Autry Beeman has him run over him, and McCutcheon picked up the first down as he just ran right over Beeman and carried him with him.
This is one way to get practice on your running game. You know, you always
the
say,
yardage now on running. It's overwhelming.
You always say we got to get the running game going. Well, today that's an understatement.
Another look of disbelief on the face of a young Seahawk. McCutcheon is now carried 15 times for 50 yards. Elvis Peacock slants in for a couple and gets down to about the 32. Fred Dreyer and Jack Youngblood talking about the day of sacks. Zorn has been sacked for a total of 56 yards, 7 sacks today, and what makes that so interesting.
That's what I was going to bring up. Coming into this game, he had a total of 6, was it?
Well, 12, but 5 in one game.
Yeah.
Tampa Bay had allowed its quarterback to be sacked only 5 times, and New Orleans allowed their quarterback sacked 9. So they were 3rd in the league. And here's another end around to Denard. Preston Denard tripped up at the last minute as he got to the 25. Kerry Justin just did get him there. I guess you could call him just in time.
Yeah. Denard is a long strider. Watch the stride he takes. He makes a lot of yardage. Look at that stride. Pretty good move. Just gets tripped up. That was a good call by the Rams.
And he's playing with a calf injury, a bruised calf. Didn't hurt him much. Tony Benjamin along with Al Hunter on the Seattle sideline. 1st and 10 on the Seattle 23, and that's got to be a bone-weary Seattle defensive team now. Rutledge to Peacock. Williams blocking and missed his block on Justin, and Pulowski and Ella came up. John Williams, a picture of despair, slowly getting up there.
You know,
he must be tired.
I was looking at first downs up there. The Rams have 28. Seahawks have 1, and the Ram record for total first downs, in fact, it's a league record, is 38.
It is about as one-sided a football game as you could possibly see.
The Rams have a total offense of 495 yards.
495. 2nd and 8, and a whistle with McCutcheon with the ball, so timeout for the moment.
495 yards.
Ball start 75.
Boy.
So John Williams guilty of trying to pull a little too soon.
That's like getting 22 hits in a baseball game.
Again, however, we remind those who have not been with us all day that Pat Hayden suffered a broken little finger on his right hand.
Number 75, offense.
What that will do to Hayden and the Rams from now to the end of the year remains to be seen. It certainly means he's not going to be the passer that he was, and he was 17 for 21 today, 13 straight completions until he broke the finger. And that's Jeff Rutledge, the rookie out of Alabama, handing to McCutcheon. McCutcheon inside the 20, and Klutz thought, I think, that he could go all the way, but at the last minute, Dufek tripped him up at the 20.
I'll tell you one thing, McCutcheon never expected to play this much. He's getting the good work that he needs.
2nd and 13, now it's 3rd and 5. And the Rams having everything go their way, including time. We have 2:45 left in the game. Here comes McCutcheon with Peacock leading the way to the 10 and down to the 6-yard line. And it's almost as if the Rams are determined that McCutcheon would score a touchdown.
Looked like he was going to break it here. Nice hole, and McCutcheon showing some flashes of his old form. Cuts back, puts the ball away, picks the legs up, keeps driving.
Then went down really on his own because Beeman had been blocked out, but as he tried to cut, maybe he's a little tired, and his knees seemed to buckle, and he went down.
Well, that's what we mentioned. He never expected to play this much. And, you know, when you play on AstroTurf, it takes more out of you. The Rams have 289 yards running.
Add to that, well, they had 172 for Hayden and 194 yards. So you're 470 some odd yards right there.
Hello, Joe.
1st and goal from the 6. With 2 minutes left, there it is, the 2-minute warning. 483 yards total for the Rams up to here, and they're going for yet another touchdown.
Time of possession of the Seattle defense.
With 2 minutes left in the ball game, 24-0 Rams. They have it 1st and goal from the 6. And Seattle's total offense net today is a -7 yards, and that's really being whooped. The Rams going for over 490 yards. Here's Rutledge on a draw to Peacock, but it's read beautifully by Terry Beeson, who drops him in his tracks.
You know, Vin, in all fairness to this Seattle defense, they've been on the field. We'll get the time of possession, but they've been on the field more than they ever have.
Interminably.
Yes, Seattle offense has usually kept them off of the field because that's the strength of this ball club. But these guys have played better football than the stats indicate.
Next week, Seattle will be at Cleveland, and then they're home on the 18th with New Orleans. 2nd and goal from the 5. McCutcheon down to about the 2. Well, as time is running out for Seattle and for all of us, for that matter. The production produced by Perry Smith. Our director, Tony Verna. Our thanks to Dr. Bob Woods for his statistical information, and there's certainly been a great deal of it today. And the contrast has been just shocking. In first downs, 29-1.
Yeah, it's unbelievable coming in here when you think of the potent offense that the Seahawks have, and to be shut down like this.
3rd and goal from the 2 for the Rams with 50 seconds left. The young Jeff Rutledge trying to steer him in for one last TD. McCutcheon and Peacock. And he's going to be grabbed from behind, and down he goes. And it's Terry Beeson, who's been all over the place, has swallowed him up back on the 20.
We've talked about Beeson. He's still playing, going all out like it's the first quarter. He's a real competitor. And again, this defense has been on the field so long that the stats are very misleading.
Beeson, 1 year out of Kansas. If I remember correctly, yeah, he was a teammate of Nolan Cromwell's for a little while. They blew the play dead, however, back at the 11-yard line. So it's 4th and goal from the 11. 19 seconds left in the game. Rams not really interested one way or another, I guess. They're not that hungry for a touchdown. 10 seconds left. Delay of game. Both 30-second clocks are out, so it's a little difficult for Rutledge to gauge it. It'll cost him 5 yards, but at this stage it is certainly not earth-set. There you can see the black clock at either end. Both of them inoperable.
It'll be interesting to get the time of possession today.
Yeah, I think the Rams have had it for about an hour and a half. And for Seattle, well, it is 4th and 16 with 6 seconds left. We'll see if Rutledge just hits the dirt. Yep, he'll go down. So that's it. The Rams scored early, capitalized on a fumble punt by Tony Green, got another touchdown. They led 21-0 at the half, got a field goal in the 3rd quarter to win it 24-0. But of course, one of the big stories, the fact that they lost Pat Hayden with a broken little finger on his right hand. But this one is history. Seattle shut out first time at home, 24-0. A totally one-sided ball game, dominated by the Rams. They seemed to run and pass at will. A beleaguered Seattle defense continued to break down, and of course the offense couldn't do anything against the Rams. Final score, 24-0 Rams. George, you were mentioning about time of possession as we see Pat Hayden being interviewed on the sidelines. That broken right finger, the little finger on the right hand. What about the time of possession?
45-33 for the Rams, 14-27 for Seattle. I can never recall a time of possession margin in pro football that much difference.
So in other words, the Rams had the ball 3 times as long as Seattle. There's just no way Seattle could have done anything since they couldn't get any first downs. And to repeat, the Rams had 29 first downs, and the Seattle Seahawks, I guess you could call it a murmur of protest. The Seattle Seahawks had just 1 first down and couldn't put anything else on the scoreboard. Well, this is Vin Scully for George Allen, reminding a lot of folks, certainly in the Los Angeles area, we'll be with you next week when the Rams are playing the Chicago Bears. And for the folks up north, remember, they'll be at Cleveland, Seattle. The NFL on CBS, a presentation of CBS Sports.
This is CBS.